All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon, folks. Chief Meteorologist Nick Lilly here with a look at your tropical update brought to you by the good folks at Tropical Pool and Spa for September 5th of 2018, day after Gordon rolled through, and we're already looking back out into the tropics at 2 waves and a now major hurricane out into the Atlantic to keep an eyeball on. And sea surface temperatures out there in the 80s, still from the Gulf of Mexico down into the Caribbean, the open Atlantic. It doesn't really matter where you go. A little closer to home. It's a little cooler across the areas that Gordon just traveled over the top of. Rain-cooled water on the surface, but there's so much at depth that it doesn't really matter. Those will warm back up as we head through the next couple of days. The latest on Gordon now 5 miles off to the west of Jackson, Mississippi. Wind at 30 miles an hour, back down to a tropical depression, still gusting to 40. As it passed through here last night, we had sustained winds between 20 and 40 miles an hour. As well as plenty of rain. I think we caught a couple of gusts up over 40 to 45 and 50. Reports of damage across the area included trees down in a handful of places, a lot of power outages. In fact, I think it was about noon today. There were still over 5,000 people across South Mississippi without power. Heard of a couple of sheds getting kind of tossed around in the wind. So a fair amount of damage across South Mississippi. Things calming down for us, but ramping up to the north. They've already had a couple of tornadoes across parts of Mississippi north of I-20. For us, I think it's just a breezy day for us today. The storm track, went kind of bisected the area, kind of went diagonally, kind of a mirror image of 59 here. The one thing that saved us from getting kind of the brunt of it was this little jog off to the north. You see how the blue line here is going northwest, and then it kind of goes a little more north, and then it kind of continues back off to the northwest. Well, if you were to take this blue line and push it back down here, you say, okay, well, it didn't go north. It just kind of continued on its way. It would have been a little off to the southwest of us, thus putting us on the northeast side. We would have had to deal with more of the rain, more of the wind, more of the threat for tornadoes. But thankfully for our area, that little jog to the north for a better part of about 2 hours yesterday saved a lot of us from dealing with a lot of the junk that came along with Gordon. They're still dealing with rain, thunderstorms, and everything across parts of Mississippi. Gordon here, and then because it's been sheared out and dried out because it came across land, so you get all this dry air in here and you end up with all these thunderstorms along the eastern periphery of it. You can think of it a lot like we had to deal with Harvey and with Cindy last year. Where the main system was somewhere else, but we dealt with the brunt of the impacts. After Harvey moved ashore, remember it kind of slid up this direction and we ended up with a bunch of the rain. Cindy moved into Texas, but we got all the rain from that one as well. Now Gordon's off to our north. Good friends in Alabama and the Florida Panhandle, the ones dealing with all the rain from it today. But that's not it. Gordon's not the only story. We look out into the open Atlantic, and I know one thing that's going to catch your eye is Florence out here. We do have a lot of mess happening across parts of just off to the east of the Bahamas as well as down into the Caribbean. Good news here is there's a little bit of shear happening out here right now. But I know Florence is probably catching your eyeball out here, and this is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. Wind at 130 miles an hour, gusting to 160, 1,000 miles, roughly 1,100 miles, east-northeast of the northern Leeward Islands. Moving to the northwest at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Category 4 anticipated to be a Category 3 and eventually back down to a 2 and then a 3 again. Here's the interesting thing about Florence out here. Florence has more shear and cooler water than Gordon had. Yet Gordon doesn't get stronger than a tropical storm. Florence is out here as a major hurricane. This is why doing the tropics can be really difficult as a meteorologist. Sometimes you end up in situations where you think something should happen, but it doesn't, and then other times you're looking at something else going, well, there's no way, and well, here we are. So it's difficult some days, and again, we're also watching, so we got Florence here. We slid back off to the southeast. We got another wave here and another wave there, and we'll turn on the probabilities, and this one here with a 70 to 90% chance, that's back in behind me here, 70 to 90% chance of development with this wave here, a 0 to 30% chance of development for this one here as it comes off the coast of Africa the next 2 to 5 days here, and the next 2 to 5 days out here. So we'll continue to monitor these as we head through the next few. Back in behind that, we get a little bit of a break. Here's another wave back there, and yet another one back there. It's just that time of the year. What do the models say? Well, as we head through the next few, here's Florence here. Here's the 70 to 90% wave here, and here's the 0 to 30 back here. As we head through Friday and into Saturday and Sunday, here's Florence still rolling around. It looks like we've got this wave back here finally getting its act together, and then another one back here. As we head through Sunday and into Monday and Tuesday, Florence finally gets caught up in the main flow, gets turned back around. Whatever happens with wave number 1 looks to get semi-organized. Wave number 2 having a tough go of it. The wave back in behind that coming off the coast of Africa as well. And it looks like we may have kind of a daisy chain of Florence, wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3 by the time we get toward Thursday of next week. Of course, that would be September 13th. So there's your tropical update for September 5th of 2018, brought to you by the good folks at Tropical Pool and Spa. Cool. Thank you guys, appreciate it.